Well, how you doing, everybody? It's now the 22nd week in Ordinary Time, so what you should do is take a look at the readings. Continue on with the story from last week. Peter was given the keys to the kingdom, head of the church. See how his week progressed. Matter of fact, we'll just see a little bit later on that same day, so see if it went pretty good for him. See you back after a little bit of introduction. And we're back, so we'll be reading up the readings for today. We've got Jeremiah, Romans, and then the gospel reading is from Matthew. So continue on from Matthew 16, verses 21 through 27. So the Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer greatly from his elders, the chief priests and the scribes, and be killed, and on the third day be raised. Then Peter took Jesus aside and began to rebuke him. God forbid, Lord, no such thing shall ever happen to you. He turned and said to Peter, Get behind me, Satan. You are an obstacle to me. You are thinking not as God does, but as human beings do. Then Jesus said to his disciples, Whoever wishes to come after me must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. What profit would there be for one to gain the whole world and forfeit his life? Or what can one give in exchange for his life? For the Son of Man will come with his angels in his Father's glory, and he will come, repay all according to his conduct. The Gospel of the Lord. Well, that didn't take long. All of a sudden, last week in the Gospel, Jesus held Peter up high and declared him the head of the church. Today, Jesus says to Peter, Get behind me, Satan. In this Bible reading, period of 3 or 4 verses, and bam, but I have to think back on my life, and I'm sure you can too. We all have days like this. Here I am going along real fine, cruising in all spiritual cylinders, rocking my rosary, memorizing my memorare, and then whammo, out of nowhere comes this thought that just ruins it. What is that all about? We're doing real good, and then something along the way spoils the good time with God. Jesus points to it, but we don't necessarily want to acknowledge it, though. You see, Satan is real. He's out there prowling, looking around for a soul to devour. Let's face it. What Peter really said is quite human. It's a response to danger. And face it, we have somebody running up the street with a machete, and hey, I'm diving behind the bed looking for cover. The danger comes our way, and we can stand up or we can flee. Either way, we take what comes our way and we react. As the danger ramps itself up and we move from flight to fight. The imaginary guy with the machete is now standing over you. You will take any measure to survive. Our will to survive is so very strong. So what is it that Peter did wrong that now Jesus is berating him? Well, Jesus explains it this way. You are thinking not as God does, but as humans do. So you see, we should always be following the pathways that God lies open to us. He has the plan that goes for quite a bit longer than our 80 or 90 years. He's opening up a pathway to us that may not even have any effect on our particular lives at all. But perhaps our great-grandchildren. Who knows? See, God's thought process is long haul, not just today or tomorrow. Let's be honest, our thought process barely has time to last 5 seconds. As the old Queen song says, I want it all and I want it now. And our attention spans were a whole lot more in 1989 than they are today. We're always amazed, though, when we read through the Bible and we see the disciples do not get it. It seems so normal to us. Jesus gives up his life for the saving of the whole world. Nothing about that seems odd to us. But for the most of us, we have heard this for our entire lives since we were children. See, we have to remember we can sit down and read through the book of Matthew in an afternoon. We get this condensed version of things. The disciples, they were getting bits of information over a 3-year period. They did not hear the full story of Jesus through their whole lives. They, at this point, are still thinking of Jesus as a monarch sitting on a throne like Queen Elizabeth, not like the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, true God from true God, begotten, not made. They do not get that he's consubstantial with the Father. They are thinking like humans. They are looking for the short-term gain, not the long-term. We have to be open to God at all times, not because there's anything in it for ourselves. Now, we don't come to church each week to get something out of it. We are here to simply worship God and say thank you. And obediently, we do it in the words which he gave us to worship him. We do it the way God gave us. We could open our windows and draw helium balloons to him, but that is not how he asked us to do it. This is Jesus' point today. Do not do things using the ways of human beings. We tend to try to make huge spectacles of events to show ourselves off. Remember a couple weeks ago we celebrated the Transfiguration. Peter wanted to build these tents to make a symbol. That's not God's way. God's way is to start out proclaiming what we believe, and that is simply acknowledging the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And then the Mass begins, using the words, the actions, and the songs which God proclaimed. We worship God. We do it using his words. We do it his way. He asked us that we acknowledge what we did against him. Certainly not for his pleasure, but for our good and for the ability of those things that we did wrong, really, so that we don't do them again. We learn from God as he speaks to us through his word. And then he gives us an amazing thing. He gives us the Eucharist. We again follow his words, his commands. Again, not for his pleasure or that he gets anything out of it, but he gives himself to us in a pure act of love. And this is why we do things not as human beings do. We can get that down the street at any church. But we do things as God proclaims, and it profits us for all time, not just the 5 minutes we might be enjoying ourselves. So, you all have a great week. God bless you all. Be good. Play nice. Thank God.